What if analysis. What we saw in the previous video was about the one-dimensional data tables. We're going to do a similar thing, but here we're going to use two-dimensional data tables, as in we are going to use or change two input variables in order to see how it affects our output, which is value. Exactly similar example that we saw in the previous video. It's just the same. We have the value, we have the WACC, growth rate and net cash flow. The value is the output, which is dependent upon three variables: the growth rate, the net cash flow and WACC. What we saw in one dimensional data table was changing the WACC, and that is basically changing only one input variable and seeing the effect it has on value. Now what we're going to do is, I hope you must have guessed by now, we are going to change both WACC or and also growth rate, which will make up the two input variables. That is what we're going to change, and we'll see how our data becomes sensitive to it. To start with this, what we're going to do is we have to first link the output or the value that we have over here. So always remember, whenever you are doing a two-dimensional data table, at the conjunction, okay, at the conjunction of the input of WACC and growth rate, that is both of them which are changing, at this conjunction you need to link your WACC. Okay, so what you need to do is, you need to link your value or the output. So is equal to link your value and hit enter. So this is where you are going to start your process of doing or making two-dimensional data tables. So once you have linked this, what we need to do next is have some inputs over here in the form of WACC and growth rate. So let's assume WACC, let's say it starts from 8%, 9%, 10%, 11, 12 and 13. Oh sorry, let's keep it till 12 only. When it comes to the growth rate, let's start it from 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Okay, so we now have the inputs in place. We have the WACC at this conjunction. We have the inputs as well as the input number 1 WACC and input number 2 growth rate in place. Now what we are supposed to do is the preparation of this table. In order to do that, again you will have to choose or highlight the table on which you want to perform the what if analysis. So you just need to select the space wherein you want the analysis to be done, sensitivity analysis. Go to the data tab. Under what if analysis, you would find data tables, and here it asks you for the row input cell and the column input cell. As you know, is something which is horizontal in nature. If you have a look at this table, what we have in the horizontal form is the growth rate. So what we're supposed to do is link the growth rate from the original table. The original table is right here. So what we need to do is link the growth rate, which is cell number F18. Next thing that is required is the column input cell. Column input cell, if you see over here in our table, it is WACC. So what we need to do is link the WACC, which is cell number F24. Once you have selected both of these, your work is done. What you need to do is just hit enter, and you will see that as soon as you do that, your table is now filled up. Now this was mechanically doing your sensitivity analysis. Your table is ready, your work is done. But how do you interpret this? This analysis that we have done clearly tells us that, let's say, if the growth rate is 3% and if the WACC is, let's say, 10%, in that case the value of this particular equity is going to be 178.6. In case if you don't understand finance, in simple terms, if input number 1 is 3%, input number 2 is 10%, then the output is going to be 178.6. In case if the growth rate increases to 4% and the WACC is yet 10%, then the value is going to be 208. Okay, so this is exactly what sensitivity analysis helps us do. It tells us that how or when the input changes, it affects the output, and how much it affects is what it gives us. Let's check and see if it gives us the correct answer. Let's say the WACC is 10.3 and the growth rate is 4% over here. So 4% and 10.3. If you have a look at this, this is basically your value, right? If you want the exact one, let's check out the decimal places. It is 10.286. And as soon as you do that, you will find that this value exactly matches. So when your WACC is 10.3 and your growth rate is 4%, your value is going to be 198.9. You will find that it is extreme over here where the WACC is the lowest but the growth rate is the highest. When the WACC is the highest and growth rate is the lowest, you will find the minimum value. So with the help of this, you can find out the minimum and maximum value in your provided data. Fine. So this was about two-dimensional data tables. It's quite easy to do. You just need to have your row input cell and column input cell in place and your work will be done. In the next video, we're going to learn about solver.